My first fascination with science, I think, began at a very, very young age. I was in grade 6 when we started working with microscopes, and instantly I was just fascinated. I loved being able to look at all these different objects in the world and be able to study them, and then slowly that progressed onto like studying the human body, and that was very fascinating to me. I was just so interested in just studying how the human body works, and how there are certain diseases, even like the disease that's that's around the world right now, creating this pandemic virus. It's fascinating to study how these viruses, they're so small, you can barely see them. You like, even through a microscope, it's so hard to see them, but it's affecting so many people around the world. It's crazy to think that that small of an object can do that much. I was born in India and I moved to Canada when I was about 5 years old, and it's been a long journey since then. It was very hard moving to a new country where we pretty much started with nothing in our hands, and so we had to gradually build up. And so I was just going to school and coming home. But my parents, they worked so hard to be able to create a life here. The language is a very big difference between the Indian culture and then the Canadian culture. Language is so important because communication is the basis of anything and everything, pretty much. You have to communicate to be able to understand people, to be able to speak out and voice your opinions. So for me, that was a little bit tough, and also for my parents, just learning the language. And I think that was one of the reasons that I became very insecure. I wasn't able to understand some of the things that were going on around me. Like, for example, in school, it took a while to be able to understand my teachers and for them to be able to understand me. And it took a while to be able to read. Like, it was like these basic things, they're based on language, and it's really hard to adapt to a language when you're moving to a whole different country. So after moving to Canada, having that language barrier, for me, one of the biggest fears was public speaking. I feel like I developed it quite early in high school, and then it was something that continued, and I knew that I was being insecure and that I was being shy, but I didn't really know how to fix it. And I didn't know, I wanted to break out of my shell, but I didn't really know how can I do that, because it's not something that just comes instantaneously. It takes time. You have to develop certain skills. I mean, I couldn't even stand in front of a classroom and speak to my classmates because I was that scared. That was my biggest fear. I think the biggest reason that I was scared of public speaking was because of judgment, was because I had all these faces staring at me when I was standing in front of a crowd or in front of my classroom. And it was scary, it was nerve-wracking. I had all the symptoms. I was turning red, my anxiety levels were going up. And then slowly, all these opportunities as they arose, I was able to build up. One of the first things that I did that really helped me step out of my comfort zone was starting to volunteer. And I volunteered at a seniors village, and then I volunteered with the city of Surrey. But through volunteering, I was able to gain so much confidence and to be able to just help out others, but also to step out of my comfort. I was actually doing some work on my laptop, and my mom was sitting beside me. We saw an advertisement for Miss BC, and my mom told me to click on it, and she's like, let's just read about it. Let's see what it's about. And so we read the description. We were just honestly, we love the values that Miss BC brings. And so my mom told me that, maybe you should do it. And instantly, that fear, that anxiety, I was like, I don't think so. I don't think it's for me. I'm gonna have to be speaking in front of an audience, and I don't think I can do that. And my mom's like, she just told me to just take a breath and have faith. And she told me to just think about it over the next couple of days. And so that's what I did. I kept it on my mind for the next couple of days. We talked about it as a family, and yeah, my parents thought this would be a great opportunity for me to finally step out of my fears. And that's what it was. I ended up winning Miss BC, which was so crazy. Like the first time doing a pageant, I had no training and nothing. I didn't really watch any pageants, so I had no experience. But I just did whatever was felt right for me. And so I did it. It was 3 days. 2 days were for the training, and then the third day was the pageant. And that really sparked a fire in me. There were so many different areas that I was able to gain skills in that included public speaking. Being able to just conquer my fears was so important, and Miss BC was able to guide me through that. Growth really is on the other side of fear. So once you're out of that comfort zone, you break out of your shell, that's when you really gain the, not just the knowledge, but the power to be able to, chase after your passions. And so I feel like that was one of the biggest things for me. I went into Miss BC because I wanted to raise awareness. I wanted to raise awareness about gender inequality. I wanted to raise awareness about, breaking out of your comfort zone, breaking your shell, and really just stepping out to overcome all of that and to gain the power that you do have within you. Gender inequality is really important to me because there are girls and women my age that don't have the same set of rights as I do. Some of these girls don't have education. So the things that they're lacking are some of the things that I have in my hands right now. And these are some of the things that are basic things that we take for granted every day. Water sanitation is a basic human necessity. And there are communities out there in the world that don't have that. They take what they can get. And so the girls and the women that walk hundreds and thousands of miles and spend hours of their day not going to school but fetching clean water for their families, that's something that really pulled the strings of my heart. That was just, I wanted to make a difference in that. And so my first exposure to this was the summer before grade 12. I interacted with Plan Canada, and we were able to form a club at my high school, and I had two wonderful teacher sponsors that helped us through that journey. And my group of friends and some other people in my school, we organized this club, and we met every week. We did events, we fundraised, we raised awareness for girls and women's their rights, and also for water sanitation, because that's a basic right and that's a basic necessity for survival. Gender inequality is a global problem. I think it's not just a one specific country's problem. It's a global problem. It's a problem that we even see here in our country. There was this one day where I walked into a store, and they had this, it was two baskets, and then it was like a weighing thing. So if they were like fundraising for girls and boys, I guess, and children. So there was one bucket that said boys, and then there was another bucket that said girls. And it was so crazy. There was a huge amount of coins in the boys bucket, and the girls bucket was empty. And that was really shocking to me. I stood there and I looked at it and I couldn't believe it. This was a couple years ago maybe. And yeah, so there is still that inequality that's present, and that takes knowledge to be able to, that takes education to be able to overcome. It is so important to use your voice. We all have voices. It is so important to use your voice to take up space, and to, because we all are worthy. We're all worthy of, voicing our opinions, and to believe in whatever we believe in, and to drive towards our passions. When I was Miss BC, I was doing all these events around my city, and I was speaking on stage. I had a lot of individuals come up to me or message me or email me and tell me that my story has inspired them to be able to take that step out of their comfort zones. So to hear that is very motivating. It's very inspiring for me. I mean, I do this work because I want to be able to help others and to motivate them and to inspire them to step out of their comfort zones, because again, fear, once you break that, there is so much growth. You are limitless once you step out of your comfort zone.